yeah, let it go, Jack. Cause you're tearing me up in the sand, and in a terrible way. What am I working for pain? Cause you're tearing me up in the sand. Try it now with it. Then show me love and spit me out, my friend. Yeah, closer, 'cause I can't. Yeah, let it go, Jack. Cause you're tearing me up in the sand, and in a terrible way. What am I working to bed? Cause you're tearing me up in the sand. So yeah.
Oh, this way.
Oh.
We are. I love that you said we are stupid, and instead of Zach saying no, you're not, he goes, it's okay. My name is Maddox Wolfgang Thornton, and I play guitar in this band, and I also sing.
My name is Elijah Van Shepard. I play drums, and I also sing.
And my name is Aidan Jonathan Hunt, and I play bass, and I also do some backup vocals. Don't even get me started. I mean, we got Elijah Van Shepard, Maddox Wolfgang Thornton, and my middle name's Jonathan.
And the most common boy name ever.
Yeah, it's Aidan. Yeah, Aidan Jonathan.
Actually,
Aidan Jonathan.
Where did you guys grow up?
Right here.
To New York. Binghamton, New York.
In Binghamton, yes. Yes, born and raised.
I live on the west side.
I've known Eli since we were about 6 years old.
me and Eli played t-ball together.
No, it was Little League.
Or no, yeah, Little League. Sorry, yeah, Little League baseball. We played that together. Then I met Maddox through basketball in like 7th grade.
But I feel like we had known each other. We all went to the same school, and we lived around. We've known each other for a very, very long time. Yeah.
My oldest sister, when she was born, my dad got a drum kit, and she's 35, so it's been in my house since I was born, and I started playing when I was 3 years old, and then I just stopped until I was 7. I heard Rush, and then it's funny. My dad was in the other room, and then he heard me play I don't know specifically what song it was, but it was a Rush song. He was like, "What the fuck?" But yeah, so yeah, he heard me play that, and then. Yeah, since basically very consistently since I was 7 years old. I've been
Rush at 7 years old is just ridiculous.
So I'm low-key a poser, because like I started with the band. Like I had never even like touched an instrument. Like I played trumpet, played French horn a little bit, but I played French horn when I was in the band. But like I always enjoyed music, but then like one of our teachers. So this was with our old drummer. We were sitting at lunch, and Mr. Kozlowski comes up, tells us, he sees John, our old drummer's Metallica shirt. He basically starts quizzing us. It was awesome. And then like I had answered a question, and the answer was the bass, and that's how I play the bass. Like genuinely, that's how I started playing the bass. And then during that, we finished, talking with Kaz, went over to Maddox. We're like, yo, we're starting a band. And this was like, Eli wasn't even a thought in it. Eli joined like 3 months later?
A couple months into it, yeah.
Yeah, not much time, but yeah, no, it was like I started then, and I don't regret it, obviously.
Yeah, it was crazy because
Shout out the pool game downstairs that's going on. It's legendary down there.
Adam
Ben and Adam, they're locked and loaded.
It's crazy to see his development as a musician and as a creative mind, considering as of 3 years ago he had never picked up a stringed instrument in his life. But for me personally, I had always, from the time I was unborn and I was, in my mother's womb, I had been around live music, and music was always playing in the house, and I have definitely both of my parents to thank for that, kind of in different ways. My dad was always into kind of the style of music that we're playing now, and he kind of really helped me develop and find my footing as a musician. But my mom, it was just always in the house, you know what I mean? And there was stuff for me to listen to, and from a very young age I had developed, I guess, an ear. And but I had never thought of myself much as a player until I was kind of in my mid-teens. I had played, kind of like Aidan said, I think that was kind of where we had really gotten close during concert band in high school. So I'd always done that. And then during COVID, which was a big turning point for me personally, I picked up guitar because my dad had gotten me one a few years prior, and I thought it's too hard, I'll never be able to pick that up. But then I really started to, during that time period in my life, shape my musical identity in terms of what I liked and what I didn't like, and what I aligned with beliefs-wise and what I didn't. And I allowed that to shape me as a person as well. And then when I discovered, because again, me and Eli had known each other forever, but when I started to discover that there was a scene here in this town that was like,
tell him to shut up.
Shut your fucking mouths.
Shut up.
No, it's okay. Where was I? Oh, yeah, so when I had discovered that there was, because I really, at times in high school, like especially when you're young, you think that you have a sense of community with the people there, but then as you get older, you start to mature a little bit, and sort of weed out people that, aren't truly there for you and don't really have your best interests in mind. And then when I, started getting closer with Eli and bonding through music, which we had really never done to a great extent, and I found that there was a scene here in Binghamton full of like-minded people, I was blown away, and I'd finally found a sense of community, a true one. And I was like, these are my people. Like, where has this been? And then, that spoke to me on such a deep level that we started playing together, and so that's kind of it. It had always been around since I was young. So.
My name is Monaco. My title is General Manager. I grew up in Newburgh, New York. I moved to Endicott, New York when I was 15, and I lived here up until I went to University at Buffalo when I was 25. And then I lived in Ithaca for 12 years, And that's when I moved back here just a couple of years ago. That's when I started working back at Crowbar. I have 3 kids, and I was working at Green Star Food Co-op, and things didn't really work out too well after COVID. So we were looking for a house, and Tompkins County is a little expensive to live in, so we decided to move back home. My fiance, she's from Endicott as well, so we decided to move back here. So I moved here from Valley Central High School in Montgomery, New York when I was in 9th grade, and I started 10th grade at Union Endicott High School. And it was great for me because it was a new start, and I was kind of more free to be myself. And shortly after that, that's kind of how I became part of the punk rock scene and the hardcore scene in Binghamton, New York. Moving to Endicott when I was 15, I really wanted to be in a band, and I happened to meet a lot of people, new people at Union Endicott High School that had the same interest as me. So that was the first time that I ever had a band, was when I was 15. And going to shows and meeting new friends, I was developing a new family that I just didn't have before. Kind of lost a lot of my extended family by moving up to Endicott, New York. And it was a new way for me to express myself that I just never got to experience before. It was exhilarating. Every day seemed like a fresh, brand new day. Writing songs, joining new bands, going to new venues, meeting new people. I would say throughout high school was purely playing music, going to shows, and hanging out with friends. I was constantly yelled at, but get my priorities straight, because it should be school, family, work, then friends. But I put friends on the top of the list because any 15, 16-year-old prioritizes friends above anything else, I feel like, at that time for me. Yeah, I'm trying not to say it because I'm so much older now, and I'm trying not to discredit my mother or anything, but you know, my mother was she remarried. She wanted to move on with her life after my father and her divorced, and you know, me being a 15-year-old kid, angry towards her, angry towards my stepfather, all my friends did become my new family, and the music just supported that even more. The music became almost like the religion to the new family. My father was, he was an alcoholic, and that's the main reason why my mother and him divorced. So not having him around really kind of fueled a lot of the anger that I put kind of as the outlet for the punk rock music. And I believe at that time it was probably the healthiest outlet that I had, because not having him around, my mother just kind of, you know, trying to start a new relationship, a new life, you know, my siblings trying to figure out what they're trying to do, you know, my new family, my new outlet just kind of became everything to me.
Since we have spoken, I need to know just how to say what I just need you to know this, so you can go and tell your friends. I never wanted you to know this, how much I'd always blame myself. Yeah, you invalid my emotions. You me overwhelmed. I'd always blame myself. I'm emotion. Nobody got me overwhelmed. What is it that you want said? What is it that you want said? What to tell me? I should let you have me. What is it that you want now? What do you want? What do you want now? Here's someone to tell me. I should let you have me.
Yes, I went to University of Buffalo. I did film production, and I minored in sociology. And that was great. That was a time of my life where as much music that I was playing, as many bands that I was in Binghamton, New York, I felt like I needed a new beginning, another start, and Buffalo was that new start. Moving to Buffalo was terrifying and exciting. Just spending so much time in Binghamton and experiencing all the new friends. Well, what was ended up happening was all my friends were leaving, whether it was they wanted to take their bands to a different city, whether they were going to college themselves, whether they were getting married. I felt like I needed to take the next step, and moving up to Buffalo felt like that next step. However, it was very lonely. You know, I deviated away from the music, I deviated away from my friends, concentrated on school, but University of Buffalo has a lot of students, and me being somewhat older than a lot of the other students, I was 25 years old, alienated in a lot of ways, and it was a rough couple of years. So making music, being in a band, great thing about that is it's collaborative. It's being in an amazing relationship in a lot of ways. You know, a lot of bands, you go through honeymoon phases, and then okay, I got to kind of move on to the next band. I would compare doing the film production at University at Buffalo as a relationship that just felt still very lonely. Trying to meet new people to do collaborative work was very difficult for me, because a lot of students had different perspectives of like where they wanted to take their art and their craft, and it was a difficult time because then my father passed away, so it was really hard for me to concentrate on school and to focus on school when I was all the way up in Buffalo. He was diagnosed with cancer. He passed away shortly after that. That was towards my end of my fourth semester at UB, and that's when things got kind of, a lot more difficult to focus on. My mother and I, we kind of became estranged through the divorce. Didn't really help that I was, an adolescent going through puberty. My mom doesn't really know much what to do with the son going through puberty. And my father and I, we kind of became estranged as well through his alcoholism. It became really tough for him to not resent my mother and not drink more because of that resentment. I became close again with my father a few years after the divorce. However, it was just tough to hold on to that relationship with him on a regular basis because he lived in where I'm from, upstate New York, a 2.5 hour drive away. It was tough for us to kind of keep in touch. Again, the music kind of helped me out a lot through all those years, and especially in the beginning of those years of them divorcing.
Yeah, no, we just kind of didn't really think of a set genre that we wanted to go with, but we knew what a sound that we wanted to achieve. And as we grow, that sound's definitely going to vary. And that's the best part of that.
Yeah, also, I mean, evolution is everything with a band, and I feel like, obviously we sound different from when we started, but I feel like it is drastic, just like with the lineup change and getting more mature as songwriters, and the stuff we listen to also changes, every month.
It was a big, initially, because we were so young when we started. We still are, but we were all coming into our own as people, because those are formative years. We really, again, like Aidan said, I don't think it was a conscious decision to say to each other, we want to sound like this. We all just kind of knew what we liked, and when we started getting into certain bands, then we started to explore oh, well, who did these bands like? And then, I think just punk rock and the whole mindset behind that fuels us, and it's something that we care deeply about. We have a lot to say, and I think we try and have that translate just through volume and energy, and we like playing loud music. So, and it is very organic, like you said. It's just nothing's forced, and just naturally, however we're feeling, that just immediately translates into a certain song. Or
playing music, playing live, practicing, whatever, it's my main outlet to, let everything out. And I realized after a set, you don't really realize how much is, in your system, whether it's anger or happiness or, anxiety, whatever. As soon as you're done playing, for me at least, to just feel way more mellow and ready to finish the night, Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We're very emotional people, and I think it's tough sometimes because we've all been friends for so long, and we're all, while we're very much the same in a lot of ways, we're all at different points in our life, and I think that allows us to work so effectively as songwriters. And we're very much a band where what you see is what you get, and there's no predetermined inhibitions about what we're going to say or what something is going to sound like. It all just sort of comes out of us in a big bunch of energy. And sometimes it's, like he said, sometimes it's angst, sometimes it's anger, sometimes it's happiness, sometimes it's sadness, but I don't know. And we let that be open for interpretation for whoever's listening, and we would like people to get out of it whatever they choose, I think a misconception is
That we're good.
Yeah, well, it's not a bad point, because while we're starting to sort of make a name for ourselves here in this town, we're still all so very young, and I have been trying to look intrusively as of late and really realize the fact that we still have, we know nothing. We still have so much room to grow, and we don't want to flatline. So I think a misconception is that these guys are on top of their game always, and they're, we can appear well put together sometimes, but there's still a lot of things that we're trying to figure out, you know. And I think we try to put forth a product, both recorded and live, that is the best that it possibly can be. But I think sometimes people may think that we take ourselves a little too seriously, whereas you kind of can't if you're trying to have fun, and that will be always the epicenter of what we're trying to do, is because we love doing it. So we're literally just up there playing with toys and yelling and jumping around, and it's, you know, we get to create and share things with people that are deeply, you know, we're affected by it, and the fact that people are also, you know, inspired or feel emotional towards what we're doing sometimes, that we're eternally grateful for. But that's just an added bonus, you know what I mean? We love what we do, and I don't think anything will change that. That's also something that I've been looking inward towards myself and really taking in the landscape of things. Like, again, we've said it, but I've known these two forever, and I don't know if necessarily I take it for granted, whether consciously or not, but it is true, like you said, rare that I get to do this with not only the best rhythm section that like anyone could get, but they're also my best friends in the world. So because we see each other every day, and we spend so much time together that again, it's just when we get up on stage in front of people, or when you know, we're in a studio or doing anything, we're truly being ourselves. And there's you know, like you said, that's what we've always said, is it's why we work so well.
It plays a really good dynamic with us for the mat, like that we can have like a big fight and know that it's like it's all out of care for each other, just straight at the end of the day, like nothing like gets in the way of us as much, because we have that bond, that we don't take anything as personal as it could get. Sometimes it does, but that's just like this brothers fight. It's just all out of love, and it's just like I never want to take that for granted, truly. Like I will never forget this time, even if like this could end tomorrow. You never know. It's like
You guys like D-Generation X.
yeah, no, just
That's right.
Just keep sucking it, you know.
Who am I? H? Are you Sean?
Just Road Dogg.
Oh, okay. I'll be Billy Gunn, and he can be Sean.
Yeah, and I'm Road Dogg.
The looker. Yeah, you're Shawn Michaels. You're the Heartbreak Kid.
Oh, yeah.
So after college is a very rough time. When my father passed away, I became addicted to opiate drugs. I became an IV user of heroin, and I spent many years after that in and out of rehab facilities, and just trying to figure out whether I just kind of wanted to really stop doing what I was doing and move on, or just kind of continue doing what I was doing. I felt like there was a lot of failures in my life around that time, so I turned to opiates. Heroin is the perfect drug to just kind of make you feel like nothing matters. You know, I felt like I failed with school because short of getting my bachelor's degree, I just kind of quit one class short. I was in a long-term relationship with somebody towards the end of University at Buffalo, and we broke up, and my father passing away. It just kind of all compounded with each other, and I actually moved back here, and that wasn't really too helpful for everything either. I kind of felt like I failed on so many points of my life, and to top it all off, music wasn't a part of my life. I wasn't in any bands. I wasn't being productive with music, and I just didn't have that outlet. Drugs became my outlet. That always ate me up inside. You know, there was times when certain people I was hanging out with would always say, well, why don't we sell your guitar, or why don't we sell your amplifier? And I would say, no, just kind of hanging on to that, just just in case, always just in case that I play music again and I quit doing what I'm doing and I have that outlet again. Yeah. I wanted to start checking off those boxes. I saw that like music for me, I had such a hard line punk rock ideology. So in a lot of ways that punk rock ideology kind of held me back. I didn't believe in selling out. I didn't believe in playing, really big clubs. I didn't believe in making a lot of money through playing music. I didn't even really believe in going to school for audio production for music, which is a regret that I've had because here I am, I do shows and I love it. But people were checking off those boxes and I was homeless, in and out of rehab facilities, becoming institutionalized by most people's standards, and I just, was constantly hitting a rock bottom. Yeah, people were blocking me, all right. I developed a really bad reputation around Binghamton. A lot of people saw me as bad news. I didn't really like who I was becoming through other people's eyes. I used to be this guy that everybody said that I was such a nice guy, and maybe something inside of me kind of rebelled against that as well. And then all of a sudden, years later, going into my 30s, I became somebody around town that was shady and not trusting and not a nice guy, so I started seeing through everybody's filters, and that didn't really help out with the addiction. That fueled it even more. No, I mean, heroin's is a hell of a drug. There's no wake up call. It's just want more and see what you can do the next day. I mean, that just becomes your life. It really, I would say my wake up call was the relationship that I'm in now with the person I'm with now, my fiance, who we have 3 beautiful children with. She was with me towards the end of that long run that I had. And my motivation was just to kind of get out of Binghamton, and that's how we ended up in Ithaca. And Ithaca was great because I didn't know anybody. She was there with me, and I got a job at Green Star Food Co-op, which was a great place to work at that time. It really, the combination of everything just revitalized me. Plus I was going to meetings. I would say right after the rehab facility that I was in up in Ithaca, it was called CARS program, Cayuga Addiction Recovery Services, and that was a long-term inpatient, which was about 7 to 9 months. I was there for about 7.5 months. And then this is the Obama time, when social programs were great and they actually meant something, I went to supported living after that. And I would say definitely that long-term sobriety that I had, I always encourage people who have, struggle with addiction. The best way to do it is just long-term recovery. Lots of meetings. Make sure if you go to an in-hab facility, it's got to be long-term, and you have to do all the programs. Everything they suggest for you to do, you just have to do it. You have to just let go. You have to submit to it, and that's what I did. And just being in the relationship with my fiance, she was very supportive. My parents, my stepfather, my mother, all my siblings, they were through the ringer with me for like 5-6 years of all of it, and they were extremely supportive. And most of all, just being in a town that great music scene, good support system through recovery services, and just all around, just a beautiful area. It really helped me kind of change my perspective on life. I got to meet some great people who were doing Ithaca Underground up there. I was meeting people that I knew from Binghamton, because you're going to see some Binghamton people straggling around Ithaca. I started playing music again. I started playing music again with friends that were from Binghamton. So I was in a couple bands playing music. That outlet was there again. Things were great. When I'm performing, and writing music, it just feels natural. Yeah, it feels like I'm breathing and like drinking water. It just feels natural, and it really helps stabilize me and ground me. Something that got lost during those years of, I'll even say like end up going to school and prioritizing myself with film production, video production. I think a part of me felt lost going through that because music was always my top priority. You know, I should have went in for school for audio production rather than video production. And I just, you know, kind of just lost sight of who I was through other people's eyes. And like, especially, you know, my mother telling me that I needed to go to college, you know, and okay, I got to go to college. What do I got to go to college for? I think a lot of people my age around that time didn't really know what they wanted to do and just kind of felt the pressure that you have to go to university, you have to succeed. Where I think, not to say, I don't discredit going to college at all. I learned a lot going to college, and I actually loved it at the time. But I kind of should have stuck with my instincts of music and pursued that. Oh, how do I feel about those people who stuck with me? I feel, I mean, they're great. I love them. Some of my friends that stuck with me, we've been friends for 20 plus years, going on 30 years. You know, they're the people that understand me the most, and they're the people that, even though I probably screwed them over at some point in time, they were willing to forgive me. You know, my mother was willing to forgive me for everything. My sister was willing to forgive me for the most part. And my fiance, she was willing to forgive me. Still has problems here and there, but you know, she loves me. I love her. We have 3 children together. You owe a lot to the people who stuck with you, whether you can give them anything or not. You can always give a certain part of yourself to them without expecting anything back, you know, and it's kind of where I've been at ever since, you know, we've moved back here. My mother's extremely supportive of me, and my old friends, you know, they stop by here and say hi all the time. You know, everybody's just glad that I'm doing well, and it's been a while since I saw those dark days. You know, the dark days kind of somewhat, you know, when you're an addict, it never really leaves you. You know, you struggle with it your whole entire life. I've had my setbacks, but not like back then. My setbacks now, I kind of reprioritize, and like what we're talking about with music, that's very important to me. I understand it, my fiance understands it, that the music just kind of brings me out of that and brings me to a spot that I feel grounded, you know. I realized that like I was a narcissistic, selfish, just jerk off, and I realized that having children really brings you out of yourself, and you really have to put another human being's life into perspective. That, you know, my children's lives are more important than mine. The focus is not off of me, it's on them, and that really helped me realize that, you know, being in addiction, you are the most selfish person in the world. And I had to start removing myself out of that. Now, I still struggle with it to this day. What do I prioritize? My happiness in music or my children's happiness? And there's a lot of balancing. But at the same time, you know, my children taught me a lot. So I think anybody with children can kind of understand that. Well, my oldest daughter, she's 11 now, and she does not think anything I do is cool, which is fine. It's understandable. Like, I didn't think anything. Yeah, I think that's just natural for kids to just kind of rebel against what their parents do. My middle child, my daughter, who's 7 now, she loves everything that I do. I also do electronic music, and she absolutely loves that. But my oldest daughter thinks everything I do is cheesy and dated and, and which is great because actually it, you know, it reminds me that like, yes, I'm a dad. Oh, my father hated my music. My father hated the music that I listened to. Oh, he would always yell at me, tell me to shut it up and all that. But it's funny though, because then years later, you know, when my father and I, we just kind of reconnected, he was totally supportive of everything that I did. And I think he realized that, you know, whatever bond that we could possibly have, he was going to be supportive of that. School never meant anything to my father. He was a high school dropout. What mattered most to him was family. It was very important to him that I had a family. And, you know, unfortunately, he wasn't around to see me and have my first child and all that. But I kind of live by, through his, you know, values and through my mother's values, I tried to put them together for my children. Family is very important. The reason why my fiance and I have been together for so long is because, you know, we're firm believers that the children need both their parents, and we always are willing to try to make things work out regardless of all the fights and all the stuff that happens between us. And my mother's values is, you know, do good at school. You know, which that's always a tough part for me, but you know, yeah, my mother is very, you know, straight A's. You need to do good at school, and I see the value in both of them. I think at the time of going to, before I went to University of Buffalo, I went to Broome Community College, and during that time, Broome Community, University at Buffalo, school was very important to me, but there was just some aspects that I just felt like they were missing in my life. And now I'm a firm believer that, you know, you can still try to go to school and achieve that, but always remember what keeps you grounded. And music was what kept me grounded. And I tried to replace school with music, and I think that was part of the downfall that I had.
Just make it to Wednesday.
So this would have been 2024. We played Battle of Bands, and it was interesting because my guitar stopped working in the middle of the first song, and then wasn't able to fix it. So I had a lot of pent-up anger due to the fact that I wanted it to go well, because we're competitive people in the sense that we
perform to your best of your ability.
right.
Yeah. And yeah, that first one, it was obviously it was still a good time, but it was kind of a flub. So yeah, the second time I was a bit, I went into it more aggressive, I guess, and I also thought it was.
Chip on your shoulder?
I don't really know what chip on my shoulder means, but but then I thought it was judge voting the whole time, and then we finished like the whole contest finishes, and there's a QR code that flashes up, and I'm like, oh, it's crowd voting, so like, I don't know what's happening. And then we won, and it was cool. For some reason, I was the first one like onto the stage, so I got the microphone first.
yeah.
So I guess so, and I just like it was fun. Well, it's mainly the build up because they create suspense before they announce the winner, and I was just like standing there just like that, and then they say the at like this, and I'm like, let's fucking go.
There was a
There's
ton.
like 8
There was like
bands
8 or
total.
9, and
Yeah.
like they give you 15-minute sets, and so coming off the heels of the worst technical blow up ever the year before, we had we were later in the order, and there had been no problems for any band.
Oh yeah.
And we get on stage, and we know that we're on a bit of a time crunch, so we're just gonna breeze through the songs. And I get up to the microphone to introduce ourselves, and there was nothing. So I look at the rest of them, and you can hear a pin drop in this fucking room. And I was like, can anybody hear me? And then
This thing on?
no! And I was like, you've got to be.
Yeah.
So they took a good 10 minutes to even fix the mic. So we were just like, this fucking blows. And we got up there, and as soon as we got an iota of a sound out of the microphone, we just went into the first song. And like Eli said, it was a sense of kind of whatever happens, happens. Like, we know that if we perform to our abilities, we'll probably get a good result, but that wasn't something we necessarily cared about, because we, of course, wanted to win, but we understood that there are sometimes politics that go into that. But it was a good time, because our friend Sawyer was able to join us on guitar, who we met through going to school there, and we added him on guitar for that show. It's weird, because college and the scope of like music there's a lot of times we'll play a college show, or when the semester's in town, and it's a drag, because a lot of those people they don't have a conceptualization of our message and what we are trying to represent, and they're a lot of just fucking meatheads and jocks and college kids that, you know what I mean? So I think we kind of enjoy sometimes being a bit of a punch in the face to those types of people. On the one hand, you have, like with Binghamton being a very, very popular school, you have people from all walks of life, and there's people like Sawyer, and there's genuinely people who care about music and are passionate about music, which is such a beautiful thing to see, and there needs to be more of that. And they find people who maybe they've never met before, and they start these bands, and it's great to see that there is many of those kids at that school. But then there are also some bands that are just in it to please crowds, and are just in there to say that they're in a band, and they play shitty cover music, and they think that their shit doesn't stink. And then we get up there trying to represent originality and trying to really exemplify the bands that have come before us in this town. People are kind of shocked sometimes when we tell them that we've lived here our whole lives. They're like, really? I'm like, yeah, not everyone is just a college kid that is trying to come here and...
Yeah, literally 90%. I mean, I don't go to BU. Like 90% of the time, like we'll finish playing, or like I'll just be talking to someone at a show, and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, like what's your major?" I'm like, "I don't got a major in that."
Learning.
Drum major.
Yeah, I'm major in learning, minor
major
in
in percussion.
education. I think that's a bit funny. Just 'cause, I don't know, it's the perception. Like at the end of the day, people really don't like know us personally, or it's cool to. It kind of feels like you're undercover sometimes playing a college show, and you're not, a college student.
Coming back to Binghamton from Ithaca was a hard choice for us. We loved living in Ithaca. We were actually pretty rooted in Ithaca in regards to social network, and we planned on staying. I was laid off from Green Star back in 2022. Green Star went through a tough time around that time. We went over to a news store. COVID didn't help out. 3 of my biggest supports that I had working at Green Star, they all left. The general manager, the operations manager, prepared foods director, they all left for whatever reasons. They all had to leave. And I felt really kind of like a duck out in open water. The new GM came in, and it was apparent that he wanted to get rid of the old and bring in the new. He was a firm believer that most of the problems that Green Star was going through was because of the managers and not because there was COVID. It's funny to say that, but there are people out there that believe that COVID wasn't a huge factor in many problems that the world had. And I realized it slowly when the new GM came on, that it wasn't just him that believed that. So after I was laid off, my fiance was in her 3rd trimester with our 3rd child, and we were planning on getting a new house. So here we go. I don't have a job. I was somewhat the breadwinner at that point. She had a great job at Tompkins Bank, and we were looking for housing, but that's when we quickly realized that in order to get, like, let's say a 4-bedroom house, we had to start looking into a different county. So we just kind of swallowed our pride. We realized that coming back here had its benefits in support systems. Jennifer's parents live in Owego. My parents live in Endicott. My siblings live in Endicott. I still talk to some of my friends that live here. That maybe that was what was more important at that time, was for us to be moving somewhere that we had a support system, especially since we were having our 3rd child. So that's what we did. We found a house in Enwell, and beautiful house, 4 bedrooms, a fraction of a price of what we would have found that house in Tompkins County. In fact, all we could find in Tompkins County were double-wide trailers that we would never be able to resell or spend a fortune trying to fix up for the same amount that we bought our house in Enwell for. So it just kind of seemed like a no-brainer at the time. I think moving back here, I had the fear that, more of the fear that associations and triggers of moving back here, because like you could just be sitting at a gas station and then all of a sudden thoughts flood in of like all the drama that happened at this gas station at one point in time, or just similar thoughts and triggers of that in nature. But I felt comfortable enough that it was many years that I lived here that I could move on with those associations, create new associations, and just kind of say, oh well, that's life. You have to just deal with those guilt, deal with the shame, know that those are like useless feelings anyway, and just kind of move forward. It was hard. Yeah, it was hard. But I think the first year of being back here and just throwing yourself, just someone that's afraid of heights, just get up there and yes, exactly. Yeah, just get that therapy of immerse yourself into it, create those new associations, and then you won't be thinking about that stuff anymore. And that's exactly what happened. Let's see, we moved here 2023, I believe. And so, yes, August of 2023. And then I started working here when they opened up in February of 2024. After Green Star, I got a job at a catering company in Ithaca called Serendipity Catering, which they were extremely supportive of me. They're great people to work for. I continued working that job and doing the commute. But after 6 months of doing an 2-hour commute every single day, that's when I got lucky and saw that Daniel was hiring for Crowbar. Oh, it was exciting. It was great. I mean, for one, I didn't have to do a commute anymore. That was great. But also kind of scary because I used to work at Lost Dog Cafe years ago. I have a lot of associations with downtown Binghamton, a lot of positive ones, but a lot of negative ones as well. When you're an addict and it's in the Broome County area, yeah, you kind of end up in downtown Binghamton most of the time, somehow, some way. The excitement of working for a new business, being part of something in the beginning, being part of something new in the Binghamton area, it trumped all, not Donald Trump, but it trumped all those feelings that I had, the negative feelings that I had, and the negative associations that I had with Binghamton. So we just kind of wanted to see how how food would sell, how alcohol would sell, how the video games would play. Kind of the first business plan with the first year of Crowbar was just see how everything rolls, how long the honeymoon phase is.
Right, or see what's popular.
Yes. And the honeymoon phase was great. And then once the summer came, we quickly realized that, okay, the honeymoon phase is over. No BU. We realized that BU was a great part of our business. And the first summer, we just kind of hung on there just to see if things would change during the summer. But, things really didn't change. So then when the fall came and BU was back, we quickly realized that, maybe we can start trying something a little bit different. Or we have something too, the summer that we're in now, 2025, we have something that we can do and that we're developed on already, shows, for example, and just see how that does during the summer. So the first show we had was, it was a Sunday show, and we're not typically open on Sundays, and it was the FM's Academy Order and Expressions Now. Expressions Now is a local band, Matt and Jimmy and Adam Cucci. Academy Order, they were from Philly or Tennessee, a goth band, and the FMs were Ithaca based, which that was kind of cool because I knew half that band.
Like both worlds.
Yeah. And FMs were transgender, open-minded, definitely, out of the box kind of bands. But that show was everything is a learning experience. Sundays, there's reasons why we're not open on Sundays, and it just so happened that was a good reason why we probably shouldn't be open on Sundays and do shows Fridays and Saturdays. Because not too many people could show up, and we were all just like, oh, this is normally our day off. The original intention for shows was really just to get people through the door. Everything is just to get people through the door to experience Crowbar. I mean, we still have people come to shows that have never been here before. And that's been really, that's helpful. For a new business, it takes a while. First year can always be exciting, new. Second year can be devastating for a new business. And the third year, once you get past that third year, you could start saying and be comfortable with, the security of the business staying open. Second and third year are always a struggle. And I think as long as we have in our mind that we just need to get people through the door, we need people to experience Crowbar, rather than we need to be making tons of money off everything that we're doing, I believe that's how a business can succeed. And I think the shows, having that in mind, that we're not trying to make tons of money, we're just trying to get people through the door, and we're trying to build a community. And I think that's going to help the business kind of grow after the second and third year.
I make this one too often. It's just burning me out. This weather's got me trudging. Think that I've had enough. Don't bother to dial the number. I won't pick up the phone. I'll make sure not to get your message. Just leave it at the tone. I mean, it's one too often. It's your burning me out. This weather's got me trudging. Think that I've had enough. Nobody to tell you the number. I will be on the phone. I'll make sure that you get your message. Let it inside. Back already, must have forgot. You said you're breaking up inside. Something built to swallow, all that I got. I'm dying for my teeth now. Oh baby, often is you putting me up. This what I'm coming stretching to the end now. Nobody say a number, say a smile. I'll make sure to get your message and inside. What to offer is you putting me up. This is what I can make stretching to the other now. Nobody say a number, I will feel the fire. I'll be trying to get your message to the inside.
I believe that the music and shows here have become like the fourth entity to Crowbar. I think we always considered ourselves like a bar, eatery, arcade. And we don't consider ourselves a venue. However, it's tough to say that when there's so many shows. Yeah, we have a show like every single week. And there's always been talk about actually building like a little bit of a mini stage and actually putting the speakers up on the ceiling and just having those hanging permanently. But, for now, we're just kind of comfortable with what we're doing, and if the shows are going on and they're doing great, maybe, in the future, we're going to take a different direction when it comes to like event planning, dive back deep into that. That was originally what we were trying to do prior to the shows, but doing events is a lot of work, especially with a small crew that we have. Fortunate enough for Ashley, the owner of Crowbar, that I had a lot of experience with shows, and that just seemed like the natural route to go when we wanted to get more people through the door. Most of the out-of-town bands that you see play here, they reached out to me with the help of social media. I'll be honest, I'm biased, I'll reach out to a band like Stuck in Place because I'm a huge Nirvana fan. I love Stuck in Place, and I love watching them, and I love their energy, and just seeing them play just reminds me of all the times that like I was 18, 19, 20 years old and playing shows and just living the life and loving it. And I kind of gravitate to the younger bands asking them to play. Part of me tries to step away from the mentoring, because when I was their age, I just thought those dudes were geeks and like really annoying. So I try to support them in other ways by giving them the gigs and trying to pay them not just like $10 for the whole entire band. Give them like a decent amount, a little bit of money, since they are the local band. Sometimes they do get a decent amount of money, but for the most part, just make sure that they get a little bit of money in their pocket, because if they want to be smart about it, then they can put that money towards merch and recording or whatever that they need to do. Something that we didn't have too much of back in the day, because when I played shows in the mid to late 90s, I mean, we would never get paid. If we did get paid, it was maybe $25 max. And free beer or something. Yeah, free beer. Yep. I mean, I was underage, but yeah, free. It was part of it. And I just felt like we didn't really get the support financially, and we didn't really get the support venue-wise. Well, we did, back in the day, we did have some really good venues. We had East Coast Terminal in Johnson City, which was like a really good venue to play. There's a lot of support there. The people who owned that, it was a skate park. That was a great place. And then there was other venues too that we got support, but just like venues don't last long. That's the issue. You know, you could have a great venue for about a year. I think for like the punk rock, hardcore, all that genre, it was always difficult to get that support. You know, and I think that was always the goal. My personal goal for Crowbar was that we could be supportive towards those bands that, you know, have those specific genres, those bands that maybe other places don't want them to play, and make sure that they get some money as well. I think people should come because there's no other place like it in Binghamton, for one. It's an experience for all ages. People my age, it could be, if you're into nostalgia, then we have it here. These were games that I was playing in high school. If you're someone that's young, it's nice to experience a place where you could play some games that maybe you never played before and get like a $3 beer. You know, that's for the college kids. And I think also too, for music, even though I said we don't consider ourselves a venue, since we do have so many shows, it is a place an alternative place that you can go and feel safe. That's what shows always were to me, was a safe place to be. And that's what's important for me here, is that we can create that safe environment, not just for people who want to come and play video games, get something to eat and drink, but a safe place for people to come and watch some bands, you know, and watch bands that they feel comfortable and they feel safe playing here as well.
Authenticity, main thing. On stage or off, just not pretending to be someone else or not filling the mold that the town or just society in general can try to put us in, you know. Try to be pretty outside of the box and outside of the crowd as well.
Yeah,
that's my biggest thing.
He's right. It sounds a little cliche.
Oh, it's corny. I was refraining from saying society.
Like, we're not ones to.
Bring back being cringe. We need to
yeah,
bring back
sure.
Because that breeds life.
Yeah.
And being you is
Suppose
all
you're
that
right.
matters.
Yeah, and we're not ones to conform at all. And
we're just band kids for real.
you know, we have the mentality that if we get if we get signed tomorrow to a major label, or if we are just, you know, wherever we end up, we're all very dead set on the fact that we're never going to waver in our beliefs and our mindset, and we care more about doing things the right way and doing things our way than anyone else's. And I think hopefully that will allow us to keep sort of a steady trajectory as to where we're trying to get to. But yeah, just trying to be authentic.
I've been in the scene since I was 10 years old, so it's like, you know, there's lows, there's very high highs, but nonetheless, it's been a crucial part of my life. You know, the DIY scene, or, you know, just the people coming together to do the thing. I mean, no matter if it's good or bad, it's always been something that, you know, I'll always hold dear.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
there's scenes everywhere. You know what I mean? There's fucking scenes all over the world. In every town, you'll go somewhere, you'll find a band, you'll find a collection of people who are trying to do this. And I think sometimes people can be confined by that, and you know, it doesn't matter. Like, this scene is so great because everyone, for the most part, is like-minded, and, you know, all set very high goals for themselves, and there are people who are still around who have been doing it for a while. There's bands like us who are trying to highlight the great things about this town and this scene.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't think that it'll be something we're stuck in forever.
I get it.
Because Yeah,
I get it.
because that's
It's the name.
the name.
Cringe.
It's great.
No, yeah. I mean, even outside of the scene, it's like you go to, parts of town that aren't, littered by slumlords and evil owners. But you go to places. There's really cool people all around, interesting people, which is always my favorite type of people. There's great people. There's great places. I know Binghamton's pretty consistently shit on for whatever reasons, but
Well, to Eli's point, it's like when you look at this town, you can't really, I don't know if you can really point to someone who's doing what we're trying to do and really point to them and be like, they've made it. And why should we let that status quo stop us in what we're trying to achieve? You know what I mean? Because like I said, we're trying to do things the right way. And if we never get big and this doesn't become a primary source of income for us, it's not going to stop us from doing what we love, but we have confidence in ourselves and what we do, and we have always, from the get-go, really, when we were not as tight as we are and we're not as good as we are, we realized the potential that we all have, and I'm very glad that I share the mindset with the two of them, that we are never going to stop, and we think that with the way that we're going now, the sky could be the limit for us. As far as I'm concerned, we have made it.
It's really like, you live a life of your choices, and the future that you think is yours can and will be yours if you put your mind to it. Just flat out. Like, there is no one way to live life. There's only your way, and that's the right way. As long as it is set down a path of good and good morals and caring for others and just being a all-around good person, it's like you will live a life full of fulfillment. And that's just truly the idea of what we do. Just what makes us happy, this does, let's keep doing it. And if the future it doesn't, I don't see it going that way, not anytime fucking soon. But it's just the beauty of it.
I think Eli said one time, we got interviewed after a show in Syracuse, and he said something to the effect of, the greatest thing I can do is get up on a stage and play live music. And again, it's like I am trying to not take this at all for granted, because not everyone gets the opportunity to get up on a stage and do it with their best friends and create and really share something with people. Like that is beautiful to me. And
we're very lucky.
I think my dad put it in perspective for me one time too, when he said that you can be an artist, or you can be a painter, or there are so many modes and mediums of self-expression, but live music is the one that is the most immediate, because you're sharing something that means a lot to you. It means something to you. We're sharing this moment in this time right now with other people, and we're experiencing it as one. And so as far as I'm concerned, the fact that we get to do that, and the fact that we get to have fun while we're doing it and share it with our friends and meet new people and get to go places that we've never been to before, and as far as I'm concerned, like you couldn't ask for more. But at the same time, we're very determined to get more out of it, because we think we owe that to ourselves.
lazy and shouts that you're walking on. Telling the truth and something I'm working on. I ask one guy that to give with left behind. So sick of being sick and tired all the time. I'm sick. I'm sick. You're the man that is behind our misery. You're better than the shouts that you're walking on. Telling the truth is still something I'm working on. I am one I had to give with left behind. So sick of being sick and tired all the time.